All right, hello everyone. Welcome to another Career Readiness Initiative employer session. Today we have Dean O here to talk to us about the U of A Little Rock William H. Bowen School of Law. It sounds like a really great program, and we look forward to having you back with us. So, Dean O, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me once again. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Aurore Abu, and I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions and Enrollment Management here at Bowen School of Law. Just a little bit about me before I dive into what we're about here. I am from Newark, New Jersey, and I graduated from Science High School, Go Chargers. After graduating from Science, I went to Temple University, where I double majored in journalism and psychology. I then pursued my master's at LaSalle University, which is also in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. My master's is in industrial organizational psychology with an emphasis on management and human resources. I worked for about a year and a half, and then I went on to law school here at Bowen, and I am a 2016 graduate of Bowen. So it really is an honor to be back here, not as a student, but as an administrator, and to be able to provide assistance to applicants, prospective students who are wanting to start their own career path and go to law school. It really is my passion to assist people and provide them with the answers and some of the solutions that I wish I knew while I was going through this process myself. So that's sort of really my role here and the majority of what I do here at the law school. So as you probably guessed, we are a law school. And so we are recruiting students who are wanting to attend law school, specifically who want to pursue the Juris Doctor degree. Right now, that is the only degree that we offer. We are looking into offering another degree in the future, but as of right now, the JD is the only degree that we offer. We do have a full-time program as well as a part-time evening program, which is dedicated mainly for working professionals who want to continue working, but also want to pursue their Juris Doctor at the same time. And so the classes for the part-time program typically begin at about 5:45 p.m. and run until about 9:25 Monday through Thursdays. The full-time program is a little bit different, and so that's going to be the day division, the traditional day division. It's probably going to start about 9 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 10 a.m., and run until about 4 p.m. with a lunch break in between, and that's typically from Monday through Friday. What else can I tell you about us? We are the only law school in the state's capital, Little Rock, Arkansas. And with that comes a lot of opportunities for our students. We are positioned very close to the Capitol, and so a lot of opportunities for our students to engage in a lot of public service work. As you can probably see from my background here, our core values, one of our core values is professionalism and public service, of course, and access to justice. And so with that, we are wanting to send our students out into, of course, the other parts of Arkansas, and of course the nation as well, and provide all of those things to people who may not have legal representation, people who are areas of the state that need public service, things like that. Another great thing about being positioned in the state capitol is that all of the major law firms, the top big law firms that are here, are looking to our students for any kind of clerkships, internships, things like that, externship opportunities that they're wanting to fill. And so with that, our students really do have a great opportunity to network with a lot of attorneys in the state capitol. And of course, that's a great way for them to build their resume and to sort of line up, positions for themselves upon graduation. That's something that we really are proud about, our network here in the state capitol, and just the opportunity for our students to get great work experience and then to build a network. That's something that we really, really encourage our students to get into after their 1L year, particularly if they're in the full-time program. We do have concurrent degree programs as well. We have 6 of those. I'm probably going to forget one, but some of them include the MBA program, the MPA, the Masters of Public Administration, the MPS program, is a joint concurrent degree with the Clinton School, the Masters of Public Service. We have public health. We have the PharmD program, and I'm and social work. So if a student is interested in also pursuing a master's degree while they are getting their Juris Doctor degree, that's certainly something that they can look into and pursue if they want to. Of course, it is going to be a little bit more rigorous because it is a master's degree that you're wanting to obtain. At the same time, you're getting the JD, and that's also going to be a lengthier program then. I should also mention that the JD takes about 3 years to complete if you're in the full-time program, and typically 4 to 5 years to complete if you are in the part-time program. I've talked about our concurrent programs. What else can I tell you about? We do have 8 clinics. Once again, I'm probably going to forget one, but they range from tax clinic. We also just recently started our veterans clinic. What else? ADR, which is alternative dispute resolution. We have a clinic for that. We have a family law clinic, our business innovations clinic, which is really just assisting people who are wanting to get their business up and running. What else? I'm actually going to just go ahead and post the links in the chat, just so that for the benefit of those who are very much interested in the clinics, so that I'm not missing out any of the clinics that we have available to the public. Just go ahead and put that in there. Okay, there it is. Our tuition is one of the most inexpensive in the nation, and we are very, very proud of that. Tuition and fees actually come in under $17,000 currently, and we are very, very proud of that. Again, our core value, one of those is access to justice, so we feel that having an affordable tuition is one way to carry out that mission of providing access to justice. So not just for people who are looking for legal representation, but also for people who are wanting to become a part of the legal profession. And with that, we still offer generous scholarships. We provide merit-based scholarships dependent upon the strength of your LSAT score, as well as the strength of your undergraduate GPA. We also provide non-resident scholarships for people who are not from the state of Arkansas, and that is good for your first year, but can be renewed for your 2L and 3L years. So that's something that we definitely want to offer to people who are not from Arkansas. We also offer private scholarships to our current students. So incoming students are not able to apply for those scholarships, but beginning in September of your first year here at Bowen, you will have the opportunity to apply and be considered for those private scholarships. I'm trying to think of what else I can tell you. I know the big ticket items is, what are you about? How much do you cost? And, what do you offer? Of course, the clinics are a great way to get that experience. I've talked a little bit about the opportunities that our students have with clerkships and externships and things like that. Those typically are paid positions. So that's another way that our students are able to, of course, supplement any kind of financial concerns that they may have. The clinic programs, those are more so for credit, but with the clinics, they are dealing with actual clients from the community. It is not any kind of like stage mock trial kind of thing or anything like that. These are real people with real concerns and real issues that they're wanting to have resolved legally. Our externship programs, I didn't touch on that really, but that also comes out of our clinic. Our experiential learning program. The externships are opportunities for our students to have hands-on training. So they are working for, say, a judge, whether it be a federal judge, a state judge, a municipal agency, things of that sort. Our externships are generally public service oriented. They're usually not paid opportunities. They are usually for credit. So they are paired with a class that the students will be going to, talking about public service, things of that sort. And that's another great way for our students to build their resumes and to get the experience that they want. And of course, to explore the different areas of law that are out there. I mentioned before we started the recording, our final deadline is June 30th. So there certainly is still time for people to submit their applications to be considered for this fall. If someone feels like perhaps that's a little bit too soon for them, our application for fall 2022 will open up on October 1st. So there's still, enough time for you to sort of get things together and prepare for that. Our application is totally free and it's totally online. You can sign up at lsac.org, and I put that in the chat. And that's where you will go to access the application, which is free once again, and have everything that you need to be considered sent to them, and then that will be sent to us. We do require a personal statement, just letting us know why it is you want to go to law school, what it is you're hoping to achieve, what it is about our school that really piques your interest. We do not require letters of recommendation, but if you would like to submit letters of recommendation, you can submit up to 2 letters of recommendation. What else? Of course, we're going to look at your transcripts. Of course, the LSAT is required, which is the law school admissions test. And of course, with that, the undergraduate GPA, things of that sort as well will be included in what is called the CAS, which is what it's typically just going to be what they put together to provide us the information that we need to consider admission. We do allow students to submit a diversity statement. It is not a requirement, but it is recommended if that's something that you want to do. For the students who feel like, well, I don't think I'm diverse, there is also an opportunity for you to submit an adversity statement, just letting us know about any kind of challenges that you've overcome that you feel like will be helpful to you in overcoming law school and everything else that comes thereafter. Finally, you will need to address any kind of character and fitness issues. So what that means is any kind of infractions you may have had in the past, whether academically, things of that sort, you want to address that. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of it all, but being as this is the legal profession, and if a person wants to sit for the bar exam, that will be an issue for the bar exam, and they just want to see that you've been upfront and thorough about all of that from the beginning. That's pretty much it. I won't bore you too much with the details. I'll definitely open it up for questions. If you have questions about me, my own career path, about the law school, of course, I'd be happy to answer those questions for you.
I think last time we talked about possibility of practicums. Is that or not practicums, but like graduate assistantships? Is that something you guys do? I forgot.
So the graduate assistantships, those are going to be more so for the master's programs, I believe, at the graduate school. But here at the law school, we're going to have something that's more so like a research assistant. So that's someone who works with a faculty member on any kind of research that the faculty member has going on for their own scholarship. Any kind of papers and things like that that the faculty is working on. The research assistant is usually a law student and will assist the professor in that regard.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see if
Any other questions?
Not seeing them unmute themselves.
I do have a question. For me to go to law school, do I necessarily have to get an undergrad on law-related majors like political science, criminal justice, or is there any other majors that can also apply?
That's a good question, Hector. So there is no specific major that's required for law school. There may be some recommended majors, but really all are welcome. And the reason that is, it's because the law touches on everything. And so if you're coming in with a knowledge base about math, chemistry, engineering, nursing, I've seen that, journalism, whatever the case may be, that's totally fine, because at some point, your knowledge and your understanding of that field is going to be helpful to you in interpreting some key fact in a case or something like that. So there really is no specific or required major for law school. You can major in just about anything and still apply to law school. The requirement is just that you have a bachelor degree from an accredited institution, whether it be within our nation or an international degree. Of course, it's going to need to be vetted and things like that, but really the requirement is that you have a bachelor.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And going back to that last question that Amanda had, there are also positions, I wouldn't really call them, graduate assistantships, but some students also help legal writing professors. So it may not be with their scholarly work, but it may be with advising current law students on legal writing, things like that. Those positions are typically for people who were like in the top of their class in their legal writing courses, things like that. So that's another opportunity for students to work at the law school and get experience working with professors and things like that.
I had a question. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned like the GPA you get when you're an undergrad, that's a deciding factor to get in. Mm-hmm. What's the required and preferred GPA to get into the school?
So typically law schools will look at the median of their previous class and will provide that information. And that's just because that's what cuts the class in half. So there are going to be people who are above the median. There are going to be people who are at the median. There are going to be people who are below the median. So for 2020's incoming class for us, the median GPA was a 3.38. So I typically tell students who are currently in school, shoot for the stars. Don't just shoot for the median. Because you're still in school, you still have some say in how strong your GPA can be by the time you graduate. It's always best to be above the median because you are then opened up to more opportunities for scholarships, and you are not going to find yourself before the admissions committee having that wonder, should we take a chance on this person? Should we not? They're kind of, at the in-between point. You want your application to be as strong as it possibly can be. And the way to do that is to just, be above the median, whether it be the median GPA or the median LSAT score.
Is there a minimum GPA that you'll consider, or does it need to be?
Our 25th percentile median, our 25th percentile GPA, I believe was a 3.09, I think. So, that's kind of where it goes. Anything below that is when it kind of gets dicey for a person. If they have, like a 2 point whatever, but their LSAT is like a 170 or 160, the admissions committee may be convinced to admit them, but it really just depends on everything else that is presented in their file, which is why it really is important to make sure that your file is top notch. Certainly we understand that freshman year of college is a little bit rough for some people. And of course, the admissions committee is going to look at the grade progression, which is why it's so important to continue to progress in your GPA and what it is that you're, the courses that you're taking, things like that, because we want to see that you've sort of gotten into the groove of things, you found your own way of studying and you've stuck with it, it's worked for you, and you've made progress in that regard. So certainly, you can include an addendum in your application to explain any kind of discrepancies with the GPA. That will help the admissions committee have a better understanding of what you were going through while you're in college. But certainly you do want it to be stronger than the median, and certainly definitely stronger than the 25th percentile.
Yeah, I know some students have really struggled with the COVID semesters where we've moved online and stuff, and that's hurt their GPA a little bit. So would that be part of the
adversity statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You can include that, but really, a lot of undergraduate schools have been good about including that note on the transcripts. So law schools already know, this year, these couple of semesters were impacted by COVID. That note, that's already at the forefront of our minds, but of course that reminder is there on the transcripts that the undergraduate schools are sending in. And LSAC, which is the Law School Admissions Council, who, they're sort of the clearinghouse for all of these documents. they've also included a note as well for law schools to keep in mind that this is what was going on during that year. And as a result, there may be a credit, no credit situation, a pass-fail credit, things like that. So certainly we're going to keep that in mind. However, if a student, if we're looking at a person's transcripts and before 2020, their grades were already tanking, that may not look favorably for them. But if we see that they were on a good track, a good progression, and then 2020 and 2021 hit and things were rocky, we're going to keep that in mind. We're going to know, hey, this is what was happening during that time. But I will suggest that you use the addendum to address anything in your application, in your file, that you want to shed some light on, that you think, okay, maybe this transcript isn't really providing the full picture of what happened. You don't want to leave the admissions committee guessing. You want to go ahead and just answer whatever questions it is they may have, anticipate those questions yourself, or come to me, come to my colleagues. That's what we're here for, to address those concerns with you, so that you can go back and see how you can best address those in your application. So,
Great. Yeah, it's good to know that you guys are understanding. We all have to kind of be and give some grace this year, huh?
Oh, certainly. And I'm going to go ahead and put the entering class profile in the chat so you can check that out. So I was a little bit off of the GPA. Our 25th percentile was 3.10. So, yeah.
Okay. Not bad. Perfect. Copy this real quick. Do you guys have any other questions for her?
I will also include a couple of the links that I referred, I should say referenced when I was speaking before. That's the link for the externships. And I know I talked about the Concurrent program as well. Here's the link for the Concurrent degrees.
Thank you. Yep, I'm copying these down real quick so that they can find them below this video. Let's see. All right. So before we let you go, I just really enjoyed hearing about your career path before. So would you mind just kind of sharing about how you've got to where you are right now?
Sure. Hopefully I don't bore you. But,
No.
so as I mentioned, I graduated from Science High School in Newark, New Jersey. We have, I'm not sure if it's actually still in existence, but we had a program back then called the Future Business Leaders of America within the city of Newark Public Schools. And so when I was in my senior year of high school, I applied for that position, for that program, just because I didn't really know what else to do with my summer before college. And also my friends, they had been doing it while they were in high school. I just didn't feel like going to high school and working at the same time. So I didn't do that. But my senior year, I applied for it, and I wasn't really sure what it was all about, but I've just heard really good things from my classmates who were already in the program. As it turned out, my 7th grade history teacher was the person who interviewed me for this opportunity. So it really was a wonderful opportunity to just get back in touch with her. And it was just, kind of like old times, really. And so I'm not even sure she interviewed me, honestly. So that's a key advice. I would say, make sure that wherever you are, wherever you find yourself in life, make sure that you're doing a good job, because you never know how the person you're working for, your teacher, your professors can come back in the future to help you out. You definitely want to keep that in mind. So I left the interview, wasn't really sure what would happen next, but I guess I got a call back. I will just call it that. And I became a part of the program, and they placed me in the Human Resource Department of Newark Public Schools. I didn't know what human resources was. I just graduated from high school. This was like a week after my graduation. And so, I showed up and we went through the program, we went through everything. And so how it worked out, they just rotated us through each of the different offices within the department, the HR department, and that was that. So in August, I started college. I was about to start college, and so they asked me to continue while I was in college. Philadelphia is 2 hours away from Newark. So they said, we know that you're going to college, but on your winter breaks, on your spring breaks, we want you to come back and continue working with us. And so that's what I did for 4 years. My sophomore year at Temple, I started taking my psych classes. I switched my major from pharmacy. That did not work out for me. That's another story for another day. And so I started taking my psych courses, and I came across this course called Industrial Organizational Psychology. I had no idea what that was. Never heard of it before. But as I was going through the class, I realized a lot of it was based off of what I was doing in HR back at home. And it really just came together for me, and it really just clicked. And I really, really enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked being able to, I just really, really enjoyed it. And so I think that's really when the wheels started turning in my mind that I wanted to get my master's in IO psychology before going to law school, because I told myself after law school, I'm not going back to school. I'm done. And that's been the case. So I continued working for NPS in HR on my winter breaks and spring breaks and things like that. And after graduating from Temple, I went straight into my master's program at LaSalle. And NPS, they still wanted me to come back and continue working with them. So I did, which was great because I was able to study IO psychology and then practice IO, psychology and things like that in HR while I was going to school. And so at some point, they couldn't continue having me there. They had a different superintendent. Things had changed within the program. And I think also they kind of got tired of giving me a raise, which is totally fine. It's cool. And I also had my own curricular requirements. I had to complete an internship. So that would not fulfill the requirements. So I shifted gears and completed an internship at Eagleville Hospital in Pennsylvania, which is really a mental health institution. And I worked in the HR department there. Long story short, I graduated with my master's. I went back to New Jersey. I worked for Community Hope, which is it's not a mental health hospital at all, but it's an organization that helps people who have been in mental health hospitals reacclimate back into society. And I really liked their mission. I really liked their goals. And I worked in HR as a staff recruiter. So having the psychology background kind of helped. And of course, having the HR background for, at that point, 5 years, I guess, definitely helped. And of course, having the master's that focused on HR also helped. So I did that for about a year and a half. And then my friends were like, it's time for you to go to law school. And I was like, no. So they sat me down. They're like, you can do this. And I was like, not yet. But eventually they won. And I started the process, started looking at law schools and things like that. And so for me, because I already had a master's, I didn't want to put myself into much more debt. I still wanted to achieve my goals. My goal at that point was to earn my JD to give myself or enhance myself in HR. Really, that was my goal. I didn't want to be in the courtroom. I didn't want to be like Harvey Specter on Suits, or I didn't want any of that. I just wanted to continue my HR track and move up the chain that way and see how that could help me. Specifically because I had worked with other people at NPS who had their JD and were lawyers. So in searching for a law school that would not, put me in even more debt, I came across Bowen. And I was just, very surprised that in the 21st century, there was a law school that cost $13,000 anything dollars, It's really hard to come across an undergraduate institution that costs that much, particularly in the part of the country where I come from, So I was very intrigued that they were able, I think at that point, it was like $11,000, $12,000. So I applied. I really liked what they had to offer. I liked that they had an emphasis in alternative dispute resolution as a focus that I could focus my studies in. I like that they also have employment law. I didn't talk about that, but we do also have curricular focuses. So if there's a particular area of law that you want to focus your studies in, you can. It doesn't mean that you're going to graduate with like a major in that field, but it means that you would have covered the different areas and courses to help you have a better understanding of that field. And then, as you graduate, you can note that on your resume that you've definitely focused in that particular area of law. So I just dropped the link for that as well. So all of those things really caught my interest. I applied, I was admitted, and then I came to visit the law school, and I really liked what I saw. I like that it was a small school. I like that, it was really quiet. I like that it was far away from New York City and any kind of enticement to go to Broadway or Times Square, things like that. I like that it was a clean environment, and I really liked the cost of living. It was low, and it was something that I could afford. And I like that they offered me a number of scholarships that I could work with to help keep my finances where I wanted it to be. And so I enrolled at Bowen, and of course, I came here and went through, the routine, and I clerked for a law firm that's actually about 5 minutes from here. I usually just walk to work, honestly. They specialize in employment law. I did it because I wanted to rule out for a fact that I did not want to practice law. And I enjoyed my time there. I'm still very cordial with the firm there, but that kind of did it for me. Like, no, I don't want to do this. And then I went on and did other things. I completed an externship with Arkansas School Boards Association. I completed an externship with Catholic Health Initiatives, the hospital here in Little Rock. And I worked for HR, I worked for compliance, I worked for privacy, and I worked for risk management. So kind of just bring all of those things together. What else did I do? Oh, after my 1L year, I completed an internship with the Veterans Association in DC, actually, and I worked in HR there as well. So it was nice getting to work in DC and seeing just how the federal government, the federal agency worked, the VA, things like that. So just kind of bringing all of that together. And I also worked for my law school. I worked for career services, I worked for alumni relations, and I worked for this office that I'm now sitting in. And that's pretty much what put me on the path to where I am. I never intended to be a law school administrator, but because of the connections that I made while I was here, my predecessor actually is a person who what's the word I should use? He planted that seed, he, watered it, it grew, and he's sort of been the person that's been grooming that plant, and, kind of saw that in me, that this is something that you can do. And so I started off in this office as a law school ambassador. I graduated and became a seasonal recruiter. From there, I worked for the University of Tulsa as their admissions counselor. I was promoted to an assistant director, and then I got this position as the dean. So even though admissions is very different from HR, the world that I started in, there are a lot of similarities in that you are working with people who are submitting applications, people who are wanting to come to you for a purpose. It may not be to get a job, but it's for the purpose of advancing their career, further down the line. And so there are a lot of similarities in there. And I definitely have no regrets about the track that I went on. And I very much enjoy what it is that I do. I hope that wasn't all too boring, but I just wanted to show you that you can start one way and it can lead to another path that you didn't even realize that you were sort of building towards, and that's entirely okay. And also just to demonstrate that going to law school doesn't mean that you will necessarily end up working with the courts, things like that. There are a lot of other things that you can do with the JD.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I enjoy hearing how you progressed and how it may not seem like it really fit together, but it really does at the end. And I think it's also awesome that you mentioned you don't have to be a lawyer just because you went to law school. Because I think a lot of us who are not familiar with the field are like, okay, law school equals lawyer,
Right.
nothing else. So
Right.
that's really awesome.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, everything you do is a stepping stone for the next thing. Just see it that way. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, I didn't major in poli-sci or whatever. We have lots of people who come to the law school. This is their second career move. This is their third career move. But in some way, they can bring all of that together. So definitely just, do the best that you can now. And then just see that as the stepping stone to your next move.
perfect. Because that was my next question. Do you have a piece of advice?
Oh.
But that is
would be
great
it.
advice. Yeah, you beat me to it. Do you guys have any more questions before we let her go? I think you've been very thorough, and I just love hearing from you. And I think, like I told you before, the last one that we did, I was just like, I kind of want to go to law school, and I have no reason to want to do that at all. But yeah, Bowen seems like a great school, and we really appreciate you taking the time to be here and share it with us.
Thank you. Thank you. If anyone does have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us here. That is our email address, and we would be happy to answer your questions.
Perfect. I will put that in the description of this video so that they can find that when they watch it. So thank you again for being here with us. We really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. I really do enjoy doing this, and I look forward to being able to do this again. Thank you.
Thank you.